All right, so yesterday we had Amanda come in to talk about like an online presence, more or less. And in this digital age where everyone knows everything about you, you want to be very careful of what you put out there, because it's only a small Google search away to see if you've ever, posted something remotely negative in any way. People can find it very quickly. They do their due diligence when they start looking for you. The two things that people are going to do when they first get your name and resume is, one, they're going to LinkedIn you because it's the easiest way to do things, because honestly, resumes are a thing of the past, but you still need them because of traditional practices and HR and things like that. But most people just look at your LinkedIn and your GitHub. They'll also see if you have a Twitter handle and so on and so forth. So I wanted to talk quickly about your I'm going to open myself in incognito. So when it comes to GitHub, some people have pictures, most people do not. So when your GitHub is basically saying like, I'm a modern day like software craftsman, right? Like the term, if you think I'm being facetious with that comment, there is a company, and I understand it, like literally there's one called Eighth Light, which is Scott Plunkett, who came in a little bit early. He works here. And they literally call themselves craftsmen, because they think of modern day software and like software developers and stuff like that as modern day craftsmen. Like you take something that you build something with your hands. It may not be wood or metal or anything like that, but I'm building code. I'm building a product that people will use. And they have this cool video and stuff like that in the background. But they do really good work. So as a modern day software craftsman, right, you have to essentially say like, I'm keeping up all my skills. My knives are sharp. I'm up to date and things of that nature. And GitHub is that place where people can come and view your code. So what I would recommend doing, and I'll put this out inside of the Slack channel, is I'm going to give you guys some time this morning after I review the GitHub and LinkedIn and things like that. Just find a decent picture where you have like a clear view of your face. Maybe write a little bit of a bio or something like that, and then make sure that you have you open pull requests each day, and then you have this contribution setting set to public and private contribution. So as someone who's not the organization, they can kind of see, oh, John has put 1,900 contributions. Oh, he had something yesterday. What did he do? It's a contribution in a private repository, but you can kind of see like, I am actually doing stuff. I am doing stuff this year. I have been doing stuff for the past 5 years. So if I go to, give me your username on GitHub. Sharif.
Sharif-Handy. Yeah.
So as of right now, you can kind of see like Sharif doesn't have a photo. I don't really know if this is someone who's actually a developer or not. Like I don't know anything about this person other than they have just a little bit of green because you're just starting out, and that's totally okay. But it's kind of like you want to get like a nice photo, just a little bit about you, and then you want to get as much green as possible. And again, you've only been doing this for 3 weeks, so like 3 weeks is just this small little section here. But as you continue to write code and things like that over the next few months, that amount of green will be a little bit more impressive. And you want to get one thing green every single day if possible. It looks a lot better down here when there's more green than over here when I wasn't doing anything because I was on vacation. So that's GitHub. They're going to be able to see like, what code have you done? Are you committing code at all? They have little followers and things like that. So if you want to follow me or follow each other, kind of like give each other like a thumbs up saying like, it's like a Twitter follower. No one really looks at this, but if you go to somebody like DHH, who's the founder of Ruby on Rails, he likes to do this thing. I have 11,000 followers and I follow like 0 people. It's like, oh, look how cool I am, But yeah, you can kind of see like he's a very popular person on GitHub. So again, for everyone, get yourself a nice photo, write yourself a little bit of a bio, and then when you're logged in, hit this public and private contribution so everyone could see that green that you've been doing. So that's number one. You want to kind of build your online presence starting with GitHub. Number two, we're going to go over things like how to do like resumes and things like that at a later point. But everyone needs to start doing LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the modern way for people to, like, at least in tech, I don't know how it is in other industries. That's how they're going to find you. That's how they're going to see what you can do. So I'm going to first show you Leanna's one because she friended me. I'm not going to accept, I don't accept friend requests on any platform until you guys are finished. So Leanna's thing will sit there for about 3 months before I can accept it. So there's a few things I'm looking for. It looks like Leanna has spent some time doing her LinkedIn. First things first is a nice like photo where you can actually see your face. You know, so no MySpace in the mirror, you know, taking a camera, like a selfie with that. Preferably no selfies, like someone else should take this photograph, but grab yourself a nice photo. If you have, if I jump over to Deja's, if you have your old, like, if you have an old academy photo or something like that, or a military photo, just put that in there. But get yourself a nice photo where you can see your face. Your name, a title for right now. She calls herself a cleared software engineer. You can call yourself a new programmer. You can call yourself like a web development student or something like that. Those are all accurate things as of right now. This is your where you currently work. This is where your last education was. So if you want to put code Platoon and write yourself as a student, that's totally okay. This will show up here. Your last place of education will also show up here. And the most important thing I want to point out about this first one is this is where you want to work. So it's not where you are right now, but it's where you want to work. So if I were, let's say I were moving across the country, I wanted to move to Northern California, because that's what we were talking about this morning, I would write San Francisco, California, or Greater San Francisco area, or something like that over here. This is not where you currently are, it's where you want to go. From there, we're going to write a small little, a paragraph, just to basically introduce yourself to people. This can be written in first person, in third person if you want, but this is basically the tell me about yourself question, which we're going to start practicing in just a little bit. So yeah, just write yourself like who you are, how you got to this place, et cetera, et cetera. I will talk a little bit more about this later. LinkedIn.
So what if you don't have any of this stuff? You just have like traditional old school, paper.
Yeah. So as I was saying, nobody really looks at resumes anymore. I mean, some people will argue one way or the other. The resume is a little bit more formalized or something like this. People still like to have it. People need it for HR and more or less. But when I look up people, I'm going to look here first, just to Google their name, Chicago developer, and then their LinkedIn will show up, and then I'll find them. So if you don't have it, we're going to create some time for you to actually do that as well. The more active you are on LinkedIn, the more your face will show up on searches and things like that. So like you can kind of see like Leanna has things where she likes different stuff. And then we get into experience. Experience stands for is all work experience. So what's your title, the company, when you work there, and then what you're doing while you're there. So I'll talk about this. This is a block of text that I don't like because it's very, very difficult to read. I might change this into bullet points. But yeah, just, kind of put all of the work things that you have in here. And this is, as I'm talking, there's a lot of things for us to do this morning. We're going to spend a little bit of time each morning to do it. Like how do you eat an elephant? It's just one bite at a time. You're not going to finish this all today. Don't try to pretend like you're going to finish this all by even the end of the week. This will take the duration of the boot camp to get to a good state. There's a lot of stuff that goes on here. So yeah, it looks like there's a lot of other things that Leanna has done. And then she gets down here, and then we're talking about, the degrees that she has and things of that nature. So this is in a pretty good shape just to start with. There are a few things I'd change, but your goal is to get something like this, where it's a nice photo, where you want to work, a little bit of a title, a little bit about a who you are, etc. Mine is kind of updated. So I have a picture of me against that wall outside. We had a professional photographer come in once. So I was like, oh, I'll just take a photo. Why not? So my title, this is what I think about myself. This is where I work. This is where I went to school. This is where I'm looking for work right now. So, and I write a little bit of a little blurb about myself. I'm a software engineer. I specialize in Ruby on Rails and React and all this other blah, 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 nice to read stuff. And then we can talk about, like, this is all internal. So you won't see this. This is all me. And then I basically write a little bit like, either I'm going to do bullet points or I'm going to do paragraphs to have a little bit more separation. I feel like if you've come to if it's not printed out, you can just read it, like a paragraph. It's up to you. So I write a little bit about what I'm doing here. I worked as a software engineer here. I wrote a little bit about my accomplishments. Numbers and percentages stand out way more than I did stuff. Like if you said like I was responsible for, like this particular the C2 aircraft, and I maintained it so that we wouldn't have to spend millions of dollars. If you have any sort of measurable thing, like I trained 15 people in my platoon, I don't know, something like that. Something measurable, those are things that stand out. So for me personally, I was the top contributor for 40% of the repos on my last team, and in the top 3 for 60% of the other ones. So for 100% of the repositories that we used in my previous job, I was in the top 3 of like people who were actually writing code. And I worked for Groupon. I talked about different things. So you can kind of see like this is all the education I have down here. So that is pretty important. And the last thing, and I'll write this all out so you have like a game plan of what to do over the next 30 minutes. The last thing I want you to do, what we're going to do over the next few weeks is talk more about interview questions. So if I were just to ask you, actually, let's just do it. Okay, I'm a recruiter for Amazon. Danny, thank you for coming in today. I see that you're applying for a junior position at Amazon. And why don't you start by telling me a little bit about yourself?
You want me to?
Yes. Go for it.
My name is Daniel Talon. I'm in the Army National Guard. Sorry.
That's what I don't want to happen
Right.
when you get to the end of the boot camp. And I'm picking on Danny because he's the closest person to me right now, physically. But I don't like there are a few things for. I realize the camera's not pointed towards Danny. There's a few things that we want to focus on. One is, where's Danny looking? He's sitting and he's looking straight downwards. He's not even looking at the interviewer. Doesn't know how to answer the question, and that's okay because a lot of people haven't interviewed in civilian jobs very often. So what we're going to do each week is we're going to take one question and we're going to break that question down. So this week's question is, tell me about yourself. You'd have 90 seconds to 2 minutes to impress this interviewer. So in the first, they say they actually make split decisions. Within the first 60 seconds, they know whether or not they're going to be interested in hiring you or not. So you have to have like a well-versed, well-prepared like answer to tell me about yourself. So what I'm looking specifically for is, with all Code Platoon students, is like what your name is, what your branch of service is, what years you were in there. Don't use any military acronyms because nobody in the civilian world understands, or unfortunately, no one cares either. Like what you did in there, why you got interested in technology, you Code Platoon your experience there, and why you're interested in technology. And I'll write this all down so you have an idea. But I want you to write this for the next 2 days, write this in full-length prose, like full paragraphs if that's something that you're good at. And then we're going to dumb it down to bullet points. You're going to memorize those bullet points, and we're just going to interview every single person in class. I'll give you like 4 minutes per pair, and then you're just going to interview each other over and over until this becomes second nature. Because I don't want you to be like, I learned all this code. Oh, Danny, thank you for coming to raise.com. Like, we're excited to have you. We have 2 full-time engineers. Tell me about yourself. Crap. Like,
accessor is
exactly. You don't want to just be saying things about code. And this is like between me and Danny. I'm not offering Danny a job, but when he's in front of someone who actually has the power to, help him get food on the table and pay his lights and water and stuff like that, it's much more daunting. And I don't want people to get caught with their pants down, so to speak. So we'll do 3 things this morning, and I'll give you until 10 to do all of it. First things first is the GitHub, and I'll write this all down. GitHub, get yourself a nice photo. That nice photo hopefully will be your LinkedIn photo as well. Write yourself a little bit of a quick bio with less than 1 paragraph, maybe a sentence or 2. Change your contribution settings to public and private. Sign up for LinkedIn if you haven't signed up for it already. I'm just going to start looking for people.
Put on the military acronyms, huh? Everything's an acronym.
Everything is an acronym, yes.
I think I made mine private.
Okay, don't do that. I can't find you.
Okay.
Eric, you look me up.
All right.
It's actually kind of funny because it looks probably. I just surprise people when they see me.
Where are you?
Aaron Israel.
Are you the
Should be something finance. Something in finance. Go down. That's not me. Scroll down.
No, that's I realize that's not you.
Keep going.
When you first looked him up, I saw him.
There me. That's right there.
All right.
Looks nothing like me now, right?
It's
when I
the
used to wear a
hair.
suit every day.
It's the hair. Okay. So when it comes to LinkedIn, send me a friend request. I'm not going to approve it, but I just want it all in one place so I can click on it. Get yourself a nice photo. I like this photo right here. Give yourself a title. Update this. Where are you working right now? Where did you?
CEO and president of Vanguard FX.
Nice.
We just don't make any money.
Okay. And right where you went to school. Write yourself a little bit of a bio over here, and then list all your experiences and things of that nature. So you want to get as close to Leanna and Aaron's, for that matter. It's pretty close. Aaron's LinkedIn as much as possible. Again, you're not going to finish this today. You're barely going to finish this in the next 3 weeks. It's an ongoing process. We'll spend at least 20 to 30 minutes each day to do this. And then the last thing, this paragraph right here, you can probably ignore for right now. I want you to answer the question of tell me about yourself. So I'm talking about your military experience, branch of service, years served. Like if you were deployed, talk a little bit about that, but then immediately talk about why you wanted to get into technology. And just to make a buttload of money is not a respectable answer, right? You can kind of see like, I was working and then I saw everything moving. There was a lot more emphasis on technology and the role technology plays in the military, and I wanted to get involved in that. Or, you know, if you were in signals, you can talk about that. I don't think anyone is. And then, like, I went to Code Platoon. I want to be a developer because XYZ. So those few things will take us until about 10 a.m. I'll post them all in Slack right now so you have them. But we'll reconvene at 10 a.m., so about 35 minutes from now.